Hello, it's Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome to my Plan With Me video for June. As always, I'm going to be using a Rhodia Gold book, which I keep inside this paisley etched cover, and they're both from Start Bay notebooks. I'm running really late with my Plan With Me for this month. I feel like I say this all the time, but I've had loads of work on and everything's been running a little bit behind, but I'm really pleased that I've now set up for the new month and that I'm able to share it with you. For June, I'm going for a sea life theme, and if you have a copy of my book, you can find the doodles that I'll be using on pages 60 and 61. And for the outlines, I'm going to be using a Staedtler pigment liner with a 0.1 nib. I loved the vintage style theme that I went for in May, but I decided this month I wanted to go with something really bright and cheerful. I sketched out all of my designs in pencil first to make sure that I was happy with them. And I also used a compass to draw a circle. And I'm going to be including 2 different pieces of seaweed and a fish, and I've let one of the pieces of seaweed just go outside the circle a little bit. I'm going to stick with this sea life theme for all of my monthly pages that I set up in this video, but I rarely stick to one particular theme throughout a whole month. I'm always itching to try out something different. So towards the end of this video, I'll share with you a flip through of my completed pages in May so far, and you'll be able to see how I kind of change things up throughout the course of the month. To start off with adding some colour to my design, I'm going to be using these chameleon pencils. And one of the things I really like about these pencils is that they're double-ended, and the 2 different colours that they have on each pencil you can always be sure will match really well and blend in together nicely. If you've already set up your bullet journal for June, I'd love to know what theme you've picked. I think this is the first time I've done a sea life theme. I very often go with florals and anything kind of vintagey, but certainly florals a lot. And I really wanted to push myself to do something a little bit different this month. Now that I've coloured in the main designs, I'm going to use a Tombow ABT brush pen to scribble on this plastic bag. I'm then going to use a water brush to dilute that ink, and I'm going to use that for a watercolour effect background. And I really like doing this, especially for quite big areas, because you can get that coverage really quickly. And because you're not necessarily adding loads of water, it doesn't tend to make your pages crinkle quite as much as traditional watercolour might. And I was really happy with how that was looking, and because there's some slight variations in the shade, to me it also really ties in with that kind of looking like water theme. Next up, I'm using a light grey Tombow ABT brush pen to letter out the word June. I'm then going to use 2 different colours of pencil to shade in over the top of that. And it's really handy having that light grey because it doesn't interfere with the colour too much, but gives you a really nice outline to follow. So I'm using a deep coloured green on the bottom half of the letters and a lighter blue on the top. And to help that stand out a little, I'm then going to use my black pen to add some lines underneath each of the downward strokes and along the right hand side. With that page now done, I'm going to move on to the left hand side, and I'm starting off by adding a shell doodle. And it's a really simple design with lots of kind of oval shapes squished together. And again, for the colour, I'm using the chameleon pencils. I'm now going to letter in a quote using a Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen, which has a firmer nib than the ABTs. And I'm writing out that sometimes in the waves of change we find our true direction. Now that the cover page is complete, I'm going to move on to setting up my calendar. I'm using a pale blue checked piece of washi tape, and this came from London Gifties. I'm using that Fudenosuke brush pen to letter out the word June at the top of my page. And I use a really simple calendar structure. I'm going to include all of the dates and the first letter of each day of the week down the left-hand page. I'm then going to draw a shell in the bottom right-hand corner. And this is the calendar system that was first shown by Ryder Carroll over on the Bullet Journal site, and it works really well for me. I'm then just adding a blue highlight on each Monday so that I can quickly see how many weeks there are in the month. And this layout gives me plenty of room to write down any deadlines, calls, appointments, those sorts of things. On the opposite page, I'm going to write out the headings of tasks, social and review. And in the task section, I just note down the main things I want to make sure I get done throughout the month. And I also use some of the space to write down how I'm getting on with my social media channels, and also a quick review at the end of the month. And for decoration, I'm adding a starfish and a dolphin. So these are really simple pages, but I find they help to keep me on track throughout the month. And if I don't have any appointments or deadlines on any particular day, I use that space to jot down a few notes about the things that I have been working on. So it could be a project that I'm making progress on, or that I've filmed and released a YouTube video. And at the end of the month, that gives me a really clear picture of what I've been up to and which of the tasks I've been able to complete. And as you can see, I've been using the two different ends of the chameleon pencil and blending those colours in together just to offer a little bit more depth to the designs. And that's my calendar and key task page now complete. The next pages I'm setting up for my master task list. And these are some of my most used pages in my bullet journal. It's where I write down absolutely everything that needs to get done. And I include the letters JWP for Journal with Purpose, social for any social media posts, HR for my HR consultancy work, and me, where I jot down anything that I need to do around the home or more personal tasks. I then wanted to add a simple decoration, so I was having a look through my sticker stash. I've got so many, so I'm really trying to use some of them up. And I found this beautiful sticker from Aurora's Heart, And I think I've had this a couple of years now, so it was lovely to have found somewhere to use it. Next, I'm setting up my gratitude log and habit tracker pages. And in my gratitude log, I try and write down one line every evening of things that I'm grateful for. And I've been doing this for ages now, which you'll know if you've seen any of my previous Plan With Me videos. But it's a practice that I never want to give up. It just makes such a difference to me. With my habit tracker, I turn my journal the other way round. And I find this works really well for me to give me the space that I need. So I'm using the Fudenosuke brush pen for the heading, and I will then write out all of the dates underneath. I've been asked before about how I remember to keep up with my habit tracker and keep updating it. And I think it really just has become a part of my evening routine now. I sit down after tea every night and write out all of my tasks for the next day and migrate over anything that didn't get done. But I also then fill in everything on my habit tracker and write a line on my gratitude and reasons to be proud pages. And I think I've been doing it for so long now that it would feel weirder not to do it than to actually do it. So it's definitely something which comes easily to me now. And I try and do it at round about the same time every evening, and it's definitely now become a habit to fill out my habit tracker. So I've listed the habits I want to track along the left-hand side, and I've used some washi tape along the bottom and added a quick shell decoration to the top. The final pages that I'm setting up are my reasons to be proud pages that I just mentioned, and also a space for me to record down my YouTube videos, blog posts and any deadlines that I've got coming up. And my reasons to be proud pages is something that I just add a line to every evening, as I mentioned. And these could be big things like completing a large project that I'm working on, or they could be small things like remembering to water the plants or getting the washing done. But it just really helps me to focus on something positive each evening. And for my YouTube and blog, I tend to write down any ideas of things I've got that I want to film or write about. And then I jot down the dates that I've either recorded them or drafted the post, and then when they've been released. So at the end of the month, I can see how much I've been able to get done. And those deadlines tend to be ones that have been set for me by clients or magazine commissions. And it helps me to decide whether I can take on any extra work during the course of that month. These pages have kind of stayed the staple of my monthly setup for a long time now, and I know that they work really well for me. I do kind of play around with some of the layouts and topics, but all in all this tends to cover all of the things and the different planning needs that I have. So now that I've finished setting up all of my pages for June, I will share a quick flip through with you of all of my May pages that I've completed so far. So I started off May with this vintage style cover page where I included a really simple collage. And this is my calendar and task page so far, along with my master task list in use. You can see this is how my gratitude log and habit tracker is looking so far, along with my reasons to be proud and blog, YouTube and deadlines. I included a swatch of the washi tapes from my latest product range. And this is where I get into my weekly spreads with a Dutch door. And behind those, I always have my daily layouts. I also included a special moments page for this month and a note to self, along with some kind of free-form journaling. And this is another weekly spread with a painting on top of old book pages. And again with the really simple daily task lists afterwards. I also included a life review page, which if you follow me on Instagram, you will see that I've already posted that there. And I follow that same format really throughout the whole month of my weekly planning page, where I track my meals as well and anything I want to get done, followed by the space to just be able to jot down each of the daily tasks. And then that brings me back in the bullet journal to the pages that we've just set up for June. I really hope that you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, it would be great if you'd leave it with a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. If you've got any questions or comments, please do leave them down below. And as always, I'll try and link all of the products in the video description box. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you really soon in the next one.